got to tell y'all about this thing called life. You know I got to share it. See, there's this thing called life. I got to tell y'all.
Oh, thank you so much, cause yeah, I love our conversations. You're a breath of fresh air and a beaming light and all that good stuff.
All that good stuff. Well, and it's like I love our conversations. They go deep, you know.
Yeah.
So I thank you for being a friend, you know, for beyond just these interviews. You know, you've become somebody that I really truly respect and trust, and you're doing good work out there. And I've really appreciated our private and personal conversations, and some of the stuff that comes up in our conversations. We're just like, okay, we gotta get this down. We gotta
Yeah.
roll this out. We gotta
I,
share it.
I know I
So
should have recorded. I know, but
I'm
well, I'll
so
see. I'll see what comes. Like I'll try to
yeah.
bring some stuff up without, because that was a little more on the personal thing. So I didn't want to.
I wanted that to be private. It needed
Yeah.
to be private. That's why I'm saying thank you for allowing us to have our private conversations because it's helped me. And then in the parts that we need to share in the ways that are appropriate for the public, like I'm all down for that because these are some pretty crazy times.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So let me introduce you. I'm gonna bring something up about that. Um. Oh, I don't have your whole bio, but you could add to.
Well, I thought this was already the intro. I thought we were going. So I'm Lupita.
Oh, hey
I'm like,
everybody.
hey.
For those that know, this is Lupita, Maria Lupita Gurulé. She's a soul reader. I've had her on a few times before, right? Amazing, amazing soul. We've been connected not just in this life, but previous previous to this life. Um, it was beautiful to for us to be able to acknowledge that connection, right? So yeah, it's an honor to have you here. Thank you so much, Lupita. Oh, Maria. Why did I
Call
call
me
you Lupita?
Lupita. Call me
Okay.
Lupita. My family calls me Lupita. So
Oh,
please call me Lupita. Yeah.
Lupi,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then I know some of you have been asking, right? You've been asking for Lupita to be on here, so I'm honored to be able to bring her on here. And so I think today we're kind of just gonna freestyle it in a way, right? We had this amazing conversation before we started this interview. So let me start with this. This is something that came through recently, and you kind of mentioned that a little while ago. And one of the messages I got about like kind of like a there, no more playing it small. So how do you interpret that? What do you feel about that?
Okay, we did not talk about this before we started, and I'm like, damn, because the very same thing came to me too. Stop
Mm,
playing small. So I did a meditation. I had another interview just before this one, and I always pray before, and it's more of, okay, so God, Spirit, Universe, what is it that you want to share? How can I be of service? And I give permission for my voice to be of service to help humanity. And so I never know exactly where it's going to go. So I love we're just going to freestyle it. And what came through, it was this deep inner knowing of just have the willingness to share the information and the knowledge. And I was told that a wisdom keeper is holding sacred knowledge until a time that the humanity would be ready.
mm,
Because when knowledge is given and shared from a spirit of wisdom, it could be misused and not understood. We're at a time in humanity where something happening is big. And so I too was told no longer can I be just withholding and having this information and trickling it out. Now, you see a map behind me.
mm.
This is it's let's see if I can actually just bring it a little bit closer and share it. So, this map actually, you can see like all of these massive pins. And it's
Oh,
through people that I've read for, actually, like
wow.
all over the world.
Mm,
So, and it's this information that like I've had the beauty and the benefit of talking with people like you, where I keep getting like pieces of the puzzle. Okay, so it's like
mm,
building a puzzle piece and getting all of this information. But it's been over the last 25 years because my NDE was 25 years ago. I've been collecting these puzzle pieces, and every time I have a session with someone, like more information comes through. Like I've had these most incredible sessions with people that have very powerful soul missions, and to
Mm,
be able to see what it is that they carry. And it's been I've been playing small. I haven't put anything out there for 2 years. I have no social media presence. Like I have a defunct, I was given some bogus thing about that I didn't follow community rules, so I lost, my FB and IG. And I'm like, how is that even possible? But back in the
what?
time, I started to trickle out information about this. I started talking about like things that are happening right now. And I was told that I can no longer withhold it, that I have to have the courage to be able to step out and to share the things that I know. So, you and I having this is like no coincidence. And I know that I'm in good hands with all the crazy stuff that comes up. So yeah, it's time. And we're finally like, I have felt like I've been in a pressure cooker that's about to explode. Now that's a dangerous thing. I feel
Mm,
like I am holding on to so much that now I just want to say without filter, without rehearsal, just freestyling it and like sharing because this is the time. So, um I dropped my cord. Let me pick it up.
no, no, you're good.
Okay, so go for it.
Yeah, no, I'm getting the same thing, and especially because, see, I get the test, right? We were talking about that, like, so sometimes, right? And I guess that's a theme amongst, to not sound, but light workers, right? Like, there's so many different terms, but let's just say that light
Mhm.
workers, or what do you think is a better way of saying it? Um,
Well, I will say light workers, and here's the
okay.
thing is that there's a whole thing I can go into about that. But yes, I would say, you know what I would actually call us? We have been known for the first duration as light workers because we were overcoming dark, okay? What does that actually mean? We see pockets of darkness and things that happen that are not good in humanity. And the brightest of souls, those most powerful who have trained on really incredible missions, who hold and remember ancient, sacred, spiritual wisdom and knowledge, to be incarnate, to hold on to memory, to remember who we are, where we're from, what we're here to do. Now, we had to overcome and come through the darkness. There was a time when I would have absolutely said, yes, light workers. When we come out of the darkness and to feel our light, if we are able to also simultaneously deal with and manage our own shadow, our own darkness, our own humanity, our own things, then we become something entirely different. Then we become a person who has transcended darkness, connected to light, and then came back to process our darkness to be in the balance in the middle, in that place in between where we're like that sacred observer. So when we overcome that, we incorporate both duality, both the darkness and the light. And when we do that, we become what I call a soul and spirit fused being.
Mm,
So then we awaken into what I call as like makers of the new earth. Like
mm,
we transcend that whole first initial process, and then we're like, okay, let's get with it. We still have work to do. These systems are breaking down, and the people that are responsible for that part by their soul's choice, we leave them to that work, and now we get on with the business of bringing awareness so people can awaken, and that is something entirely new and different. Okay. And this is crazy because I've never said this. Never did I understand that path. So when we say that we're on an ascension path, we're on the path of enlightenment, what does that even mean? That does not mean that we become just nothing but pure light, because then we are no longer in balance. It is like we become with this constant cycling of
mm,
like of in and out, like breath. Okay, so something comes up, we experience it, we let it go, we heal. We come up, something comes up in life, we process it, we transcend it, we let it go. So we're in this constant cycling process. and then we become something that again, the makers of the new earth. We are change agents of balance. We are the bringers of unity, like uniting these two things so that we understand that we are one. So there's a and every single person serves exactly where they're meant to. It's not above, it's not below, it's not better or worse. It is by design of soul that
Mm,
there's certain functions that people serve, and there's a certain sector of the population that serve in this way. So there are many that are light workers. There are many that are also like in the process of awakening. We're at all levels, and we need that. Okay. And then there's also those who have this higher knowledge that are wisdom keepers, people who hold sacred ancient knowledge that would know how to share it and do it with integrity, with dignity, but also with a responsibility.
mm,
Okay. It comes with a huge responsibility.
mm,
Otherwise, we would just be dabbling just as much and creating harm rather than knowing how to, I don't know, share it in an authentic and appropriate way.
mm,
I don't know. That's something really big to explore about that.
mm.
So
You
I
know,
know I
as you were
went to a
talking,
whole thing, but yeah,
no,
light
no,
workers.
it
Okay.
all because as you started sharing that, I started seeing like this vision. You know, whether it's like us or just what the collective that you were tapping into, like that, I could see us looking at the cosmos, like wow, like it was just this ancient,
Mhm.
almost like an ancient memory, right?
Yes.
About almost like looking at these whole cosmos and like that, it was swirling how you said, and to see like I don't know if it was looking at it and what are we gonna create or as in I don't know how that image was
That's powerful. That we are so when I say that we are agents of change, you
mm,
were able to see the entire galaxy in a whole, okay,
mm,
as a whole, not such like from at the smallest level, yes, but also like literally seeing like this divine plan that holds galaxies together. Like
mm,
it's a lot. And right now, like what is happening with Earth and this whole like disclosure and the all of these things that are happening, this also with our sun, like I could go down a million rabbit holes. So maybe, so I won't go there, but I will say, yeah, you were also like, I love that you have such imagery also, because it's rare to be able to talk with somebody who has like, I think my first language is imagery.
mm,
Everything translates to a picture in my head, and then there's layers and layers and layers, and then I can like turn the picture and kind of pick, like go down even more like a microscope. I don't know how to describe it, but then like bring it all back and then like see the universe. So yeah.
mm,
It's a skill. It's but we all have it. And
mm,
why? Because we're connected into this divine grid of energy, what's known as the Akasha, the ethers, I call it the sacred living library. It is
mm,
an energy that is in flow, and we are all connected to it. And we all have this ability, and that I guess that brings us to the point. That's what we've been disconnected from. That's what the first original separation and that first original harm was to make us feel separate when we are not. Okay. So that's how you're able to ride the cosmic wave all the way up to the grand scale of seeing universes, all the way down to the micro spectrum where you're like, yeah, here we are, Zoom talking one on one, right?
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
literally traversing the ethers.
Mm. And since you brought it up, or let's go ahead if you want to finish, or
No, keep going.
okay,
Uh-huh.
okay. So that's interesting about because that's you triggered a question that I wanted to ask you because
Okay.
I had mentioned to you briefly that I experienced something right before we entered the year of the fire horse, right? It was I think I want to say it was like on the 15th or something, or I don't know. It was there were so many things over like the 2 weeks leading up to that that I was it felt like I was spending way more time, you know, on the other side. But this was weird because I asked the question, and it was almost like if I was in this Akashic records or something, but in the underworld, because I was in this place and it almost looked like this hospital or something. And I was looking through computers trying to find some kind of knowledge, and people were coming up to me. Like an Asian man came up to me, then a black woman, then like different people were like, "Oh, do you know where so and so is or something?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't work here." And I'm just like trying to find something, and then some other person comes up to me. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I don't work here," and I'm going through these things, and then I appeared in the next level, and it was like a jaguar came, like it was, or an ocelot. It was either an ocelot or but I'm it was either a baby, because I looked. It might have been a young jaguar, because I saw that even in the Mayan culture, the young jaguar holds significance to the underworld. So that's why I'm thinking it could have been a young jaguar particularly, but it could have been either, right? Because I know the ocelot too, right? So it had to bring me out of that. Like it brought me out of the underworld. And I know you have knowledge with that. So tell me, do you know, is there an Akashic to allow multiple presenters to share? What is, oh,
That's me. So like
oh,
I'm going to share a picture with you in a second.
okay.
Okay.
So yeah, so is there, have you ever seen, because I've never had heard of an Akashic
Yeah.
Records. I've seen the other one, but I've never known of an Underworld Akashic
Oh yeah.
Records.
Okay, so that goes, I love this. This goes
Okay.
exactly to what I was talking about is that we we who are were considered ourselves to be light workers, we traversed through the realms of darkness. We
Mm,
go through darkness to find our light. There's this concept with the Maya, and I belong to an amazing group, and I'm learning this, but I know that it's a remembering of sacred knowledge from previous lifetimes, because things that I have said are things that I'm now like officially learning and hearing, and that's usually how it happens with me. I'll get the instinct, the intuition first, and then there's always the validation after. So it's called the Maya Wisdom Project with Solvi Barrios, whose father was a very highly well known, one of the greatest spiritual Mayan leaders. And he has now crossed over. Has been crossed over, but his
mm,
daughters actually, and through Solvi, actually carries this sacred knowledge and is fulfilling her life purpose to bring this awareness and knowledge and continue her dad's purpose of bringing it to the masses. When we understand the Maya and what she has a whole thing, there's a beautiful program that she put together. Oh my God, what she has put together is incredible. And she is helping entire communities with it. That's why I'm so like, I hope you don't mind me sharing about it.
no.
But like, it's incredible the work that she's doing to help the peoples of Guatemala. They
Mm,
hold energy, and that's where she's from. And so there in Guatemala, they hold ancient sacred knowledge. And she is being like through the time that it was told that humanity would be prepared to hear this information. Now,
mm,
I too, like you, in my studies, because I have formal initiations and trainings and apprenticeship in a shamanic study also. This is like one of my sacred mesas, and like
mm,
rocks mean like are the most important thing for me. But coming back to that is that the underworld is Xibalba, okay, is what it's known. And although this is not my culture, I share this with great respect to be able to bring awareness and then really point in the direction of those who have that ancient sacred knowledge that are meant to bring it out in the traditions of which they heard. So my awareness and my ancient memory, okay, of
mm,
like living it before is that we seated ourselves in time where this information would be brought forth. That they understood the underworld is that we had to traverse a path of overcoming all of our struggles. It's like the analogy for life. And in the Xibalba, in going through the underworld, is that there truly was these two paths. So they have the
mm,
hero twins and they have their parents. And so the parents were too soft, didn't were too weak, could not actually really endure those trials and failed as such. And then
Mm.
out of a series of events, the hero twins were come through that were the children of these parents, but they were born with, like, they had to go through some stuff. You know, they had their wits about them. They learned how to use discernment. They were taught about how to, like, navigate the duality. So when they go to the underworld, they actually win the battle, and they're
Mm.
known as the hero twins. And that is in the Popol Vuh. It is
Mm.
it is very loosely interpreted, but it has like high interpretation in it. So those wisdom keepers of those sacred lands there in the Maya traditions, they hold ancient sacred knowledge that is now coming out at this time. One of them is their calendar, their sacred understanding of cycles and rhythms, that they have foretold that this time would be one that is absolute dire, great massive change happening on the planet. So it doesn't surprise me that you would have a dream with a jaguar or an ocelot. So like one of the images I want to share with you is this. So
Ooh,
like,
I got chills. Yeah, that looked like, yeah, that was very, that's kind of
mhm.
what it looked like.
Okay, so like I am my jaguar, it's an archetype that is an installation through part of this tradition that I follow.
Mm.
It is the jaguar. It is Ish, okay, is known in the Maya. And so here we have a black jaguar, which is
Mm.
like that representation of me. And here we have a traditional jaguar. I work with an elder, a woman. Her name is, she goes by Lunita. Literally, her name is Sally Moon, but she goes by
Mm.
Lunita. Moon is literally her last name. It's not
Oh,
like a taken on surname. It's actually through a marriage that she has that name.
wow.
So we're literally going through the sacred path of the jaguar, which is
Mm.
literally like understanding like everything that you're talking about. Now, I
Mm.
too, like you, okay, had a dream where I have my black jaguar, and this was since about 15 years ago that I had this awareness of my black jaguar. I heard her roar like in this installation of this archetype through this traditional ceremonious thing. Now, recently, I had a dream where I thought was a baby yellow jaguar, like a
Mm.
traditional, not black, a black panther, okay, or black jaguar, literally still has the rosettes. Okay, they're
Mm.
pure black, but the black jaguar has the rosettes just like the black spots of a regular yellow, golden colored jaguar. So I had this little one show up to me in my dream. And I thought like, oh wow, like, oh, I have a little now a little golden baby jaguar that's with me, thinking that my black jaguar birthed and had, a
Oh.
traditional, like, and so instead of being albino, they literally have the pigmentation where it's rare that they're black, okay? So that's how that happens with the jaguars. And then only to discover that it was an ocelot that
Ah.
actually presented it. They are the most stealth hunters in the darkness. They
Mm.
have vision for their hunting and their protection in a way that a night cat does not. Like it's a highly evolved night cat, okay? And the
Mm.
ability to see, they actually have inner reflectors that highlight and illuminate the light of the night in the darkest pitches black where you can see nothing in front of you. They are
Wow.
stealth and see all. So they literally have night vision. Okay. So that doesn't surprise me that you would have
Mm.
had jaguar or an ocelot. Okay. To
Yeah.
help you see through the
Mm.
darkness.
No, and even when I told you the dream about me walking down a dark, narrow path, how was I
Mm.
able to see this red-tailed hawk feather on the so brightly, right? Like in a dark, narrow path.
There you go. Okay.
Mm.
Like, ooh, I got chills with that one. So this is spirit animal, animal energy, and animal essence. When we are attuned to nature, we have the ability to connect with the elements and the elementals as well as the realms of nature. Like
Mm.
we are meant to connect with them. And I know that they show it like in the movie Avatar where they, they literally have,
Oh.
the things that literally connect. But I think that's just a physical representation of what we do automatically. We know the energies of people because our energy, we literally broadcast and we have fillers that go before us that we know the energy of the person that's with us. Like we
Mm.
know an argument that's happened when we just barely walk in the room because we can feel it. It's an emotion, it's an energy imprint. We have an ability to sense the field and we're all affecting it. Okay. So
Mm.
you have an ability, and I've seen many of your beautiful videos when you're out in nature and you're one of the only other people that I know that sees signs and messages in the way that I do. Like
Mm.
everything, it's like literally tracking. Think about that. What does an ocelot do? Okay, they are at the highest of the highest food chain, a jaguar. There's
Mm.
none other above her, okay? Or I say her, okay? Well, we'll be generous and say him too, but I
No,
say
it's
her.
fine. It's fine.
Okay.
It's okay.
There's nothing like, and the reason why is that the mother jaguar will protect her cubs because other masculine jaguars will attempt to literally kill off the infant jaguars or the juveniles, and because it's an aggression, and so that they can gain access to the woman, which is also a distortion of that energy on the planet. Okay. So that's why I really do tie and associate, and I call her also Latin. Okay.
Mm.
So like giving her that higher exalted energy because yeah, she's the queen of the jungle.
No,
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And it almost felt like when it was coming to me, like, hey, and it kept coming back and forth, but I feel silly that I was doing that, but I was like, oh, no one's gonna believe me. And I tried to get my phone, but it wouldn't record, right? So it wasn't
Ah,
clicking that, well, hello, we're in the spirit world. Not gonna, and I kept trying to record, and it was like walking forward and back, like, hey, come on, are you going? And then
mm,
there were these like, and I love wolves, but in this case, it was like hairless wolves, like they were hunting. So I was like,
yeah.
oh, are they hunting me? Like, are they looking for me? Because they were going around, and then yeah, it was waiting for me. And then way in the distance too, there was a huge bear, but I didn't feel anything negative from the huge bear. It was like, I don't know, that's the direction they were trying to tell me, but the hairless wolves were. I felt like, they're hunting. Like it was almost like, yeah, I wasn't even supposed to be there, kind of thing, or I don't know. Like they wanted me. Yeah. So what do you feel anything with that, or
I
like
do.
those?
So that
Oh.
one you're transcending a dimension. There are portals on this earth. There is literally other beings that have like literally popped in accidentally out of these realms. There's hotspots. We call them vortexes. There's
Mhm.
anomalous places where like the Bermuda Triangle is one of them. We have many of those places here on land, okay, and in underwater. We don't understand exactly like how, like we are energetic beings with electromagnetism. There's a place, some place in the United States back west where every single thing about that place does not function. Like literally, like buildings, trees grow entirely sideways, they spiral. Like there's like all of this crazy distortions of this one locality because the electromagnetics do not work in the right way in that one singular place. These are considered
Mm.
like even portals of where, like other interterrestrial beings. Like I know I'm going all crazy here,
No,
but
no.
like literally inner earth energies. And so here's how this even happens, right? Like when I request and I ask, I actually am able to see, sense, and feel. I live in a place where it's vibrant all around me. I live in New Mexico, where we have the, Los Alamos National Lab, Sandia Labs. We have White Sands, Roswell crash. We have like there's so
Mm.
much around here, it's insane. We also have Chaco Canyon, which is also known to be and told like a portal. Okay.
Ah.
So the people of Cancun, not Cancun, sorry, Chaco
Mm.
Canyon. It's interesting that Cancun came up. I don't know why
Yeah, I'm
that's
curious
coming
why
up
you
right
said
now.
that.
That was like a slip. Okay,
Oh.
so in that region, in those areas, Like maybe potentially that there's a vibration there, right? Maybe that's why there's like a higher military, like I don't know, presence. Maybe there's something
Mm.
higher that they're actually protecting that they don't really want humans to know. These are things that operate outside of our visual spectrum necessarily, like above or below our visual spectrum.
Mm.
So when people are out there, these are coming out more and more, where people are taking like their night vision and actually recording overnight and seeing all kinds of crazy things. Either that, like not only their night spectrum, but even like in higher bands. So like more and more when the people are talking about like disclosure and we're waiting for our government to be the one that discloses, like disclosure is happening at a grassroots level. Like it's happening with the people who are able to sense and feel. Now, I know I went all out there. I know it's going to come
No,
right
no,
back, so
no, it's
bear
okay.
with me here. It goes back to interdimensional beings, those two things that you saw in the astral plane. You were literally in the in between, probably seeing these things that bleed through in portals,
Mm.
operate out of our visual perception. Okay. We see 4, 5%, maybe 6% of the the entire energy spectrum. So if we see like, 4% out there, which is like minuscule, like can you imagine how much more is actually out there and happening without just because we can't see it, we don't have eyes to see it, you know? So
Mm.
you have the ability to transcend through different time, like dimensional energy, astral planes, beyond the veil, let's just call it that,
Mm.
okay, where you are shown and seen things. And so these two things that we're hunting there, that's like oftentimes of how Sasquatch and other things actually occur. That because our veil is so thin in these dimensions that are literally just by frequency, sometimes these things occur. Maybe there's a geo-electromagnetic pulse that opens up and gives enough
Mm.
energy for these portals to open, that suddenly like this crossover, so our world is so much more than we can possibly even begin to imagine or know. And I love that you talked about the wolves. So I have formal training in also, okay, through the Hypnotherapy Academy of America, which is here in my state.
Mhm.
Um, I had a Romanian coach, and he would be like, "Oh, hey, little Lobo," and I would always be like, and I finally asked him, he's like, "Well, your name Lupita, it's Lupo. Lupo in Romania is wolf, and to have the
Wow.
ITA means like just like in Spanish, like the little female. So he would
Mm.
always call me like little she wolf." So
Mm.
Lupita actually has a different meaning for me. And so I, like you, had all of a sudden I'm flashing here where I live and not near, like not too far by, not too far from where I live. We have New Mexico is known as the state of volcanoes. I don't think people understand or know that.
Oh, wow. I didn't
We
know.
have so many volcanoes in our state that are, dormant, not, some of them not active. But here where I live, there's like close by, there's like 6 different peaks of these volcanoes. And I know that there's like energy that exists there and then connected to the inner earth. Like,
Mm.
and then all of a sudden I'm like, I went way out there again. So I can feel and tell that like oftentimes in these recordings, something like comes in, it's like a free flow of consciousness. So just bear with me. Thank you for your patience.
No,
Like I'm
I'm happy.
embarrassed because I'm like, I know I'm talking about volcanoes, but why? What were we talking about? Portals, energy, okay? Cosmic energy connected to the land. And especially where there are peaks and places like that, we activate the telluric lines, which is energy of the earth, as well as cosmic lines, which is like the telluric currents of the upper atmosphere. And then we're like literally creating electromagnetic pulses where things pop in and pop through. I mentioned the volcanoes because I saw like a lone wolf like not too long ago on the terrain, but there was something very, very different about it. It seemed to be
Mm.
larger. It was not traveling in a pack. and it was hiding in a way, and it was looking at me like it
Mm.
saw me, or I saw it, and it like seemed to all of a sudden like camouflage and blend. And I was freaking out because I'm like, what are you?
Mm.
And I could have, and I actually asked myself, when are you? And the moment I
Mm.
asked, it's like it began to look back at me and then it moved and then it just darted off. Like, and
Mm.
so there's an open flat plain and then these volcanic peaks. So yeah, when animals actually show up, and then the telepathic communication. So not only are you getting it through your dreams, but then when you go out on your nature walks, like I said, I've seen your videos and the things that actually come up, they have messages.
Mhm.
So one of the ways spirit communicates with us is by the energy and the essence of animals and the message that they carry for us at the time. And you show that really good in your videos. Hmm.
Mm. Thank you. Yeah. No, like I think over what was it, like a month ago, I had a dream and it was kind of similar. Like my phone didn't want I wanted to record it. There was a and it was weird because it was almost like a doomsday like scenario. Like it felt like it was in the future. And like everything had gone to like, and everything was in like rubble, like all mounds of rubble, and I don't know what had happened, but the little bobcat appeared. It was like a baby bobcat, and I was just so like it didn't matter that there had been like an Armageddon or something like kind of apocalyptic. I
Hmm.
found this little bobcat, and it was like my new little like familiar. So I was just so happy, like no one's gonna believe me. I was trying to record it, but yeah. And then when I woke up, I was like, wow. And then, that's what's appeared to me. Like when I go hiking, I know it's the same bobcat because I'm like, what? You were up in the mountain, now you're here at the base of the mountain, now you're here. I came at a different time, and there you are again. It's the same. Like, how can you keep appearing at the exact every day I've gone at a different time, yet here you are, like the little
Hmm.
bobcat. So it's funny that a bobcat came to me because I haven't gone already for a while hiking, but this bobcat, and I know the bobcat is very symbolic too, right? With them.
Oh yeah. And then the interesting thing too is that cat and
Oh.
feline energy is very sacred. We
Mm.
have a high number of felines on the planet, but back in the day they were highly revered, very incredible sacred beings. I at a time that well, I'll just flat out say it. I was without home, so I didn't have a home of my own. I was literally like I don't homeless, but I was living with people, and I was a person that I was helping. She was helping me, and I was helping her. So I was house sitting for her, and she had a cat. And
Mm.
the cat was Siamese, and I thought just like dogs, like you breed them and you breed a Siamese with a Siamese and you get nothing but Siamese. And she's like, no, it's a genetic trait that it's like almost like it's spontaneous. So she had this most incredible Siamese cat. He was amazing. He had like the bluest of eyes, and he was more of like a chocolate brown and had like a little bit of, his name was Guapo, and I called him Señor Guapo. And I was there staying at her house sitting and cat sitting, and he
Mm.
became my little buddy. But cats have an incredible ability to see beyond what we can actually see. And there were times when I would feel like negative energy, negative people's vibes, like in the energy around me, something like the atmosphere would be a little heavier, or a thought would pop into my mind what would make me feel heavier. And all of a sudden, Senor Guapito would literally like jump into action and he would be like battling something in the air and dashing after
Mm.
something as if chasing it away. So cats have a very high energy and vibration. Cats in nature. So for this bobcat, what I'm actually getting with this is that yes, a familiar, yes, a cat that is like in the area, but in addition to that, even being like accessed and utilized to be on your path to be able to provide you message, to give you energy and essence. So if I say that there are earth angel moments, moments where angels step into the beings of people to share a message or convey or show or say something, these are moments where a person will do something without even knowing why they're doing or saying what they're doing. But those are, I call those earth angel moments.
Mm.
Okay, so the angel comes into the human to be able to provide the message for the other person or for them themselves. Why wouldn't they do that with animals?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they be able? And they're more like in they're more attuned to nature. So they're feeling the nature vibrations. You're entering in their world. And I can see like even how it's depicted in some movies where one in particular is the Snow White and the I can't remember this name. Sorry, the Huntsman. Okay, where they go
Oh, yeah.
into a forest and they like literally like she holds a reverence, a light inside of her where nature shows up, and then it shows this most incredible. And it's interesting. This is perfect timing. This incredible um what do they call it? A stag. Okay, so this massive, huge stag with a rack that has like 12 points, okay? Like this king of the forest, and he's
Mm,
pure white like albino, like we're talking about the jaguar, okay? The only thing is that the stag, of course, with the points is masculine, okay? That's what I am seeing in this moment for whatever reason. It's like seeing like nature being like in reverence to like the greater um like the actual system. This is why we say it's so important for us to be out in nature, that we're actually connecting into something that is actual, tangible, and real, beyond the artificial constructs that are being built. So when you're out in nature and something is appearing before you, like why wouldn't they step in and actually like provide message for you? So I see like this similar thing is that you're entering into their realm, you're tuning and connecting into nature, and all of these animals are coming into your presence to give and affirm, whatever because I love that you like what was that about? You explore it a little bit more, you dig into it deeper, and then the message comes. That's the way that it works.
yeah. No, and it. Oh, good, good, good.
No, I'm like, they hide this stuff in plain sight, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So they kind of sprinkle it into the psyche of humanity so that, like, oh yeah, saw it in a movie, and that stuff's real. They're just like showing it in a cinematic way, like
Mm,
helping us to flex our imagination to be able to picture it. But I, like you, I live in that world of vision already. It's just cool
mm.
to be able to share it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And right before you said the stag, that's what had just popped in my head. I don't know if I ever shared it with you, but once I was hiking and I was in nature and I don't know why I felt a presence and I just said it out. I blurted it out. I said, Gabriel, I know it's you. And then a big old deer just jumps out in front of me. And it was like the bushes weren't high enough to hide this huge deer. It just boom jumped in front of me and it just went off. And I was like, what? Like, and I know, like, like I knew what had just happened. Like,
Oh
wow,
yeah.
like it was really like, wow. So,
Oh yeah.
when you're
Oh
talking
yeah.
to, yeah,
It's
yeah.
moments like that. And the reason why I say perfect timing is because this year, so maybe we'll bring it down to earth. I'm like, okay, Lupita, come
Okay,
to
okay.
earth. To make it really tangible for people who are watching of how can like they like and the greater scheme, like how is this applicable? Like how can they actually apply this into real everyday life? Well, we just completed a 13-year cycle from the Maya. It was a year called 13 Ik. It is actually an influence. I was born in the very last time that we had 13 Eek come into the cycle of the Maya time was 52 years ago. So
Mm,
the last time it takes a full 52 years to cycle through all of these different patterns for these things to align again. Okay, they were master keepers of time. So we just finished what's called 13 Eek. It has to do with the wind. It was its archetype is the hummingbird. The number 13 is of spirit, okay? Like so embodiment of spirit. This year, not only do we just start the Chinese New Year, okay, it just began, we also began the Mayan New Year. And this year is we start a brand new 13-year cycle. Whatever
mm,
we're doing right now sets into tone and motion, not only the next 13 years, but beyond. But technically, for this one, let's just call it 13 years. This year is what's called one Kej, K-E-J. And Kech is actually, its archetype is the stag. Okay. It is the king of the mountain. It is the one who governs, and it's about nature. It's also one is new beginnings. We come into, it's called Hun. Hun is the Mayan word for one.
Mm,
So it's Hunkech is the year, and this energy is going to carry us not only for the next 13 years, okay, because it's like an overarching 13-year beginning cycle. This energy is going to be with us for a year. So we need to get out in nature. There's something that's massively happening. Not only that, is that like bringing it into the practical also. There's another channel that I watch because I love that we're able to go into these spiritual realms, but I also like and love and appreciate that I'm always brought back to it being rooted in reality and like even scientific, okay? So these things that we're talking about at a greater scale are actually being proven scientifically now. So these greater cosmic things are happening, are actually being validated by this incredible geophysicist, and his name is Stefan Burns. He has a whole channel and he talks about this, but he follows the patterns of the sun, the coronal mass ejections. He explains the science about what is happening in our solar system and how it impacts us. And he does a beautiful job of crossing it over in a beautiful way to show the science with the spiritual, to know that those two things are actually one thing. So we're also at a time when like different alignments, like Neptune and Uranus, I believe. I'll have to double check what that conjunction is. But there's like all of this massive, incredible energy that's happening at this time. And it's powerful, you know? So here we are having a conversation, people, but seeing what's happening at the greater, bigger scale, and then how it actually comes through. And you're getting messages that bleed over from the veil that are guiding and showing us, like, and that literally so many of us have experienced some really dark things and heavy things and hard things to overcome, and that's still happening. It's not lost on me. I know that people are really hurting and suffering. And I guess this is the whole point of why we're having it started full circle, having the courage to be able to speak out, like just be bold and share.
mm.
So I'm glad that you're doing it. Yeah.
No, thank you. I'm glad that you're doing it with me.
I,
That,
I I'm like I feel for people who watch this because sometimes I'm like, all of these words that just came out, and then I can't even remember what I just told you. So I know that there's something greater at hand here. I know that it's like that free flow of consciousness. It's like almost like I'm being hijacked, and like things are being spoken, and then I'm like I have to come back online, okay, of like, okay, I just came back into awareness. Do you remember that old school, and I think it was even redone, Quantum Leap?
yeah, no, I just binge watched, and that whole show was like, almost like a kid in a candy store. I was like, I got hooked on it. I watched the whole news, the remake of it. I binge watched the
Okay.
whole because yeah, I felt at home watching it. I was like, yeah, like this is how it
And I'm like,
is.
why am I telling you about this? But
Yeah,
that's what it feels like, okay?
yeah,
When I talk about time loops that I've experienced, it's like that.
yeah.
There are things that I've experienced that I haven't shared before because one, it's so far out there and so crazy, and I'm barely coming to grips with it. So the craziest thing, this is the second thing that came up in my meditation about having courage to share. And I have been really struggling with this, is like, what am I? What do I do? How do I describe what I do, what I see, how this is possible? And I just keep going in like these crazy loops, okay? And what I finally understood is that it's consciousness. It's pure consciousness. It is, we are not our bodies. Like that near death experience I had removed any barriers of veils. I too like work in this realm of energy in a way that it's so hard to describe. I've had time loops of where I've like literally traveled in time and seen like all of these different crazy, crazy, crazy things. So quantum leap. And what came through the meditation was that not only to have courage, that for me, I died on the day that my daughter was born
Mm,
25 years ago, not because of her birth, but because of a planned tubal ligation. I had two pregnancies that were too hard. And so it was planned that I was going to have that done on that day. So that was June 5th, the year 2000. I was not put under anesthesia, so I didn't lose consciousness because of medication that they gave me intentionally to lose consciousness. I was given through a catheter in my back was a spinal tap. So I say all of this because from that experience, it like kicked me into gear. And the things that I'm sharing today are like things that I've been learning over the last 25 years. I haven't shared these. I barely am comfortable sharing my NDE. Like,
mm,
so I'm now just barely becoming comfortable with sharing all of these other parts. It's like it's difficult to put into words. And so what came through is that people are where I was 25 years ago, coming to the acceptance of near-death experiences. Now, had I been talking about near-death experiences 25 years ago, now it's very commonly known, at least it seems to be.
mm-hmm.
We work in these realms, but it feels like more and more the mainstream people are beginning to accept it and understand it. Now, that's just one layer that they're beginning to understand. And I feel like I have gone to the edges of the universe and all the way back, and like all of these other dimensions and all the way back. And then, like, only now am I having the courage to share those things that were a result of the kicking in gear of my NDE.
Mm.
So I'm 25 years into the exploration of all of this. And the things that are finally coming up are being like now science is validating the things that I saw all the way back then. So the quantum physics, like all of this exploration of space, that even our deep sea, all of these things that are happening and even foretold in prophecy, that all of these things are now coming to pass. And so it's having the courage to withstand being ridiculed and being called crazy and to move beyond it and to be like, I don't care anymore.
I'm here with you, so don't worry. If you're
Thank.
crazy, I'm crazy, and we're
Okay,
crazy.
so I and people who are drawn to this material, who might think that they're crazy too, they're part of this change agents to be those change makers, makers of
Mm,
the new earth. hmm
absolutely.
That was beautifully tied in the way they helped me bring it back.
No, absolutely. You know, and I was gonna say this earlier. It just came back to me. Like I was working one day, right? Thanks to doing like acting, like you'd be surprised. It's amazing. Like I could be on a set with like 300-400 people, and I'll meet that one person. Like we're brought together to I'll spend the whole time I'm there talking about spiritual things or stuff
hmm
like that. But one day I met this man. He was an older Asian man, and he used to work on what was like the hydrogen. What is it? The collider that to build the God particle. And he said
Yeah.
he was one of the scientists working on it here in the U.S. before they, you know, shut it down. And so, oddly enough, I was like, can I? And so I shared. And then yeah, so science gets to a point where spirituality makes sense, right? So it's funny. See, they do know, but you have to get high enough. Like there's this whole area of science where it's too logical. They have to have
Mhm.
everything explained, right? Very textbook,
Yes.
very it has to make sense. But then they
Yes.
get to a point. See, and there we go. Someone that was working on this machine to create the God particle, we were able to connect, and he was all excited. I was, and we had a long, probably over an hour conversation about, but it was beautiful. See, so I was like, there it is, like, because like you, right? I've experienced these things since I was younger, and how do you put it into words? How do I explain? I know I'm traveling to these other dimensions. I know, you know, seeing past,
Yeah.
present, future. Like how
Mhm.
how do you explain it to anybody? But science is catching
Okay.
up, so that's
I
beautiful.
love it.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah.
I love this. I love this conversation because we are not our bodies. Consciousness in what I call so like I've coined this word of called consciousness. Like we are part of a divine consciousness that is very indeed exactly like so our internet like it's like synapses it's a mega brain, right? So now we have artificial intelligence, which is like the synapses of these different things coming together that actually are able to bring information. Well, they're just mimicking a technology that we already are part of. It is just a duplication of that same technology. So we as a soul are transcending time. So when it said that like in quantum physics, all times exist all at the exact same time. And there we are a wave and a particle, right? That we can actually transcend time and loop time. Like that I like this is how I've said things to people in their sessions that they're like, okay, yeah, you're crazy, lady. Like you look like you like, yeah, that's not even happening. And then for them to be like, oh my God, that thing that you said, like that didn't happen until 5 years later and exactly the way that you said, how did you know? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I know. But I just like I say the things that feels most important and I trust it so much because this has happened time and time and time again where people would be like that thing that you said and I'll even like push it to the point. I do recognize that the thing that I enjoy the most is really helping people at the deepest soul level. Like
Mm,
people who, so like not the superficial, like I lost this thing, can you help me find it kind of thing.
mm.
It's more of like, yeah, the thing I want to help you find is your God spark. That
Mm,
part we've lost. That part
mm,
I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about bringing people to the power of their own self. The
mm,
things that you and I are talking about, where we're like, we just have memory.
mm,
Our soul remembers like this divine essence, and we do it so naturally. We have this ability, every single one of us, as a child when we're born. When they say that we have to return to be childlike, it's to not install belief systems that take away our ability to like live in these magical realms. Okay. Magical, why? Magi, okay, the magi, which the root word of magic stems from. Okay, so the Magi were holders of ancient knowledge and wisdom who understood, and people could not believe the things that they were capable of sharing and saying and doing and accessing. And so they considered it to be magic. Okay,
mm,
we interpret magic as an imagination as false, made up, not real.
mm,
Imagination is our ability to access the unseen. We're literally extending our consciousness into these realms that is beyond the physical. Our eyes are not even actually seeing reality. Our brains are interpreting reality. Okay, these are light lenses that bring in light and crisscrosses in the middle of my brain that ricochets back on the back of my head that highlights the occipital lobe that is giving me the interpretation of what I see.
mm,
Okay, so this is why coming back to one of your questions is how could this be an illusion, right? That's how this is quote unquote an illusion. This table is real. The jacket I'm wearing is real. The problems and the bills I have to pay are real. Okay, all of that is real, but it is built within a construct that our brain is interpreting.
mm,
Okay, our brains, our eyes are interpreting the light that we see. Okay, so who's to say that we're not walking around? Okay, so think about that. If we really stop and think about what I am saying, there's a window that allows light in, and my brain is interpreting these signals, okay, that are encoded that my brain is able to process and reflect back and upside down, by the way, okay? And like a projection of what is interpreting. So we are literally like walking around the world with already like our own artificial goggles already. And this
Mm,
is a very real world. This is like the technology of, the holodeck of Star Trek, where we like there's literal the molecules have agreement to create this map, to create me, to create this jacket. Like all of that is indeed real, but my brain is interpreting it.
mm.
Does that make sense? I pray
I
that
mean,
this makes sense.
to me it does. Wow, okay, so there's a few, I almost feel like, let me write this down so I don't forget
Okay.
to ask you this, but let me say this thing first. Um, okay, so let me make sure.
I'm loving this conversation, by the way,
No,
because like rarely can I like just like have these really candid conversations without filter and just wherever they go, they go. Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, no, trust me. I feel like, yeah, yeah, as we're talking, because like how you said, I get the visual, so I'm there with you, right? Like I'm seeing the
Okay.
visuals, so it's beautiful.
Okay, that's an ability. Okay,
Mm,
that's an ability. So, what I told you is that my first language is images. And so, when people talk, I see pictures.
mm,
So, I love that you just shared that. So, that is an interlaced packet of information that you are literally receiving through your occipital lobe that your brain is interpreting as I'm talking. Do you get
mm,
that? What
yeah,
you are seeing in your mind's eye, with all of this imagery while I'm talking, is another interlaced messages that are hitting not just your ears, but hitting and tapping into the part of your brain that's giving you imagery. Do you
mm,
get how powerful what's actually happening right now? Like,
mm,
and never once have I actually said that. Like,
mm.
my mind is literally exploding right now. Okay. Because you just gave me another piece of a puzzle. That's why I
Oh,
say every time I talk with somebody, okay, and just through the course of conversation, all of a sudden, like some kind of mega information that's like literally like given like a diamond in the
mm,
rough, okay? This is where inspiration, this is where Einstein is like literally tapping into a field. Tesla would be tapping into a field. They're getting their information, and they themselves will actually say, like, this was given to me. I'm just
mm,
the instrument that got to bring it through. But it's floating somewhere out here that they got to tap into.
mm,
Like that's truth. So like my mind is exploding right now that in very unique circumstances, when the time is right, information will come through like this.
mm,
Never ever have I said interlaced with oral and an auditory information is hitting your brain to give you imagery, which is an interlaced signal of visual information, and your
mm,
brain is receptive to receive it. So you're receiving information on two layers. And then
mm,
now your brain is processing it and is now going to be able to transform it into auditory information. Like
mm.
that's insane. That's
Well,
insane.
it's and we know that how our human bodies are already these perfect in, like, the minds or the beings it took to create these
Mhm.
things that we get to use in this realm, right? The way we're constructed to work properly in this realm.
Yes. So here's the thing, right? Here we are as a people trying to create robots and created artificial intelligence, okay, that they will begin to be independent thinkers. But we are those most advanced biological, neurological, physiological computers. We are the robotics. Our bodies have the ability to regenerate. If we were a species meant to, like, we have consciousness that operates these physical bodies. When we're in a coma state, the consciousness is not attached to the body, therefore not functioning, but the consciousness is still tethered, but it's
Mm,
somehow not like fused inside to give the electrical impulses for the body to operate and move. what happens in those moments? Anesthesiologist is like, well, what is consciousness? Where does it go when we do give anesthesia? Like, again, mine was not anesthesia. Mine was, through the spine. I had a reaction to it where it stopped my heart and it stopped the brain from functioning, okay?
Mm.
And breathing. So they had to resuscitate and they also had to intubate. So they had to breathe for me and they had to give me an electrical boost of my heart. Where did I go in between that time? For 8 Earth minutes, okay, on a clock, because they had to go down a hallway, through an elevator, into the operating room, get the crash cart, then bring me back to life. In those 8 minutes, I spent a lifetime on the other side.
Wow.
And I finally understand that I chose to come back, not just to tell them about the NDE and what's in the afterlife, but how that we are a technology. So 3 years ago, okay, this brings it full circle. 3 years ago, I started to put out information about the technology of the soul and what I call the sacred revolution of spirit. And it was also secret revelations of spirit. Okay.
Mm.
So these two things, think about that. Secret revelations that created sacred revolution. Okay.
Mm.
So, but something happened at that moment where life was lifing and life was lifing hard that I could not actually be putting those videos out. I needed to understand and go deep. So I'm finally in the place of, oh yeah, like I feel like a movie, right? Where the explosion happens and like the airplane's in it, and you just see this cloud consuming the airplane, and they're like, oh, they're done for, man. They're gone. And then you just see the pshum, the plane like barely escaping the cloud. That's me, okay?
Mm.
That's how I feel. Mhm.
Absolutely.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Hmm. Wow. Okay, what else do you want to ask me? Because I'm
Oh,
like, okay.
well, no, I didn't want to
I think we're
interrupt you.
both like
I
there
find,
of like stunned of like, okay, yeah. That could
yeah,
have been like a moment where of like just going somewhere like woof.
yeah. And
Uh-huh.
again, right? You already know as you're saying that like I see
See
all
it.
so I was
Hmm.
kind of just going with you on that little choom.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But let me tell you, so I guess to bring it like you say full circle with that, what I was gonna mention was like once I remember, and during that time, I don't know, I think more and more things were being shown to me. But yeah, I went for an early walk in nature with my dog, and usually I walk her off the leash, and but I saw these three coyotes, but they were big, and then all of a sudden it was like I could see it split screen. It was like the coyotes, but three entities were. It was like behind was something else. So it was like the real reality versus what we see with these human eyes in this realm. But it was like I saw behind the veil at that moment, like in split screen. It just I was like, come here, like I grabbed my dog, like it was just interesting to see that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, and I think too, like, I mean, I don't want to, there's a lot out there in Native American tradition, and I really want to respect that. But they really understood there to be not only a cosmic connection, but also beings that, like they were known to be able to take other forms. Okay,
Mm.
so I don't really want to say the words, but like literally in the like change their form.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so that there's a whole tradition around that and a deeper understanding because these peoples of, of first lands, I mean, they've been part of this. It's built into their own knowledge of their own culture. Like, and so I'm very, very respectful because I live in New Mexico, Nuevo Mexico. I live in like so Santa Fe originally, but then I also like that. So we have Albuquerque, but I'm in the state where we have, like I think I've already mentioned, like the different places that exist
Mm-hmm.
around here. So like there's a lot of high activity with cosmic beings, and they're thought that like there's even like so people who take and alter their and change their shape and their form. Okay, so um shapeshifters.
Yeah.
Okay, so like what you're actually seeing is the encoding beyond like their actual original form. And so, like, if there are beings that are able to contact and connect with and can manipulate energy in that way, and many of this is like happening outside of a spectrum that we can't see, you
Mm,
know. It's crazy. There's a lot to that.
yeah.
So how do we protect ourselves in that, making it very tangible and real, is like we really have to pay attention to how we feel when we are like in states that feel heavier, harder, that more struggle. Like we literally are in an energy that kind of like it's just harder. It's like a channel, right? A radio station. We can only pick up the frequencies that our device is capable of. Meaning, if our energy is always only ever tied to heavy, hard struggle, like we're gonna broadcast that and we're also going to receive that. And so
Mm,
it feels like we never get a leg up. Life is always hard. It doesn't work when we're able to really work with our inner state of being, how we think and how we feel, when we begin to shift into places of gratitude. No matter where we're at, we can always have gratitude. That's
mm,
Viktor Frankl. He wrote the book about like literally feeling most free when he was in a Nazi camp. Okay. And I know the
mm,
people who are most free, but yet are so imprisoned in their mind. It's a
mm,
state of our being. And so, if we can learn to work with that and be in that energy, then we will help ourselves to not attract things that are heavier, denser. We're like meant to be that soul, spirit fused being so that we can change the earth. Because the more of us that are literally looking and seeing the world in a different way, we create it. We get what we expect. Bottom
mm,
line, like that's what it means to be a creator being. It
mm,
requires enough of us around the planet to see something different, feel something different, and create it because we are the ones creating it. So we're using that technology to literally change the world, to change what we look, see, and feel. Because
mm,
that technology is what's all around us right now. We are broadcast and told what to think, see, and feel.
mm,
Okay. And even when we see it with our own eyes, we're told not to believe what we see.
mm,
Okay. Now, that's a funny thing to say that our brains are interpreting it, right? So I have the ability to be able to see things like orbs, lights, other things like that. I've had a gazillion different experiences with it. I have an expectation and an openness to it that I see them.
mm,
Okay. People who don't expect to see it, and that are skeptical and they like, yeah, I will never believe it unless I see it. And the thing is that they will never see it because they don't believe it. You
yeah.
can't experience something that you don't expect to, right? So it's coming back to our conversations about like bringing it full circle.
Yeah.
What we think, what we feel, we will actually experience, and that like there's something much, much bigger going on. And to
Absolutely.
not be
So,
afraid.
oh, go ahead, go ahead. I don't want to.
No, I'm done. Not to be afraid.
So one thing, there was something else I wanted to mention, but let me tell you this, because this came up, and I don't know, it kind of gave me that eerie feeling, because one of my things, and I guess if this is me not playing it small, it was clear that, right, I interjected myself into this reality, and I left myself a code, right, to remember, right. So I
Yes.
kind of have a little cheat sheet, you know.
Yes.
I have a cheat sheet that I put in place, but it even goes back thousands of years around the whole
Yes.
world, different, um,
hmm
to remember, so I could give this knowledge to people, right? And
Yes.
so
You're
one of
the
them,
only other person that I've heard say that actually.
really,
Keep going. Oh yeah.
uh,
Keep going.
so
Dang.
it popped up like, see this movie. See, like me, I don't know if we've ever had a discussion about, like, I even wrote that book, but I fully didn't understand, because I think it was just like being channeled. I
hmm
wrote it in real time as it was happening, because I started seeing the cookie crumbs, and I was like, okay. But now so much knowledge, like I should write a revised version of the book, because so much more knowledge has came out. Now I understand, right, that I interjected myself to bring the knowledge. So it is like a a cheat sheet for me to share. So I was watching this movie. The book is called 216 and the Secrets of the Universe, but more importantly, this reality that we're living in, and even this movie, The Island, popped up. Have you ever seen this movie, The Island?
Is that with Leonardo DiCaprio?
No, no.
Okay, then I don't know.
Well, I think that's a different island movie, but no,
Okay.
this one, I want to say it's called The Island. But anyways, it jumped out at me because I was like, of course I'm watching this because the movie was 2 hours and 16 minutes long. So there's my 216. So I was like, okay.
Mm.
And as I was watching it, it was eerie because they make these people believe they're in this like underground place, but it's like that's their whole world, and they just have them living that loop. So the eerie feeling I got is because that has came out, right, where people are like, is Earth just a prison, right? Is
Hmm.
the Earth a prison? So,
Yes.
you know, yeah. So yeah, it was that eerie like confirmation, like how
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, oh wow. And it just made me feel all like, but the way it's depicted in that movie, it was just so, yeah, that energy was just, I was like, oh, I got him, but
Okay.
yeah, I guess go ahead.
So I think that ick feeling that comes up is because it is a message. It like it hit in a place in the soul where it radiated an energy for your remembrance to be like, that that didn't feel right. Why did not that pass through me? Right? And so they put these things out in plain sight because the most sanctified thing on this realm is free will. And we think about, well, I don't want this. I'm not choosing this, but we do.
Mm,
We live in systems with all of our economics, our governments, and just the way society functions. In order for us to live in this world, we agree to it because
mm,
that is the state of the world. And right now, they are the ones that are holding the power, but that is shifting, okay? It's completely shifting. We have seeded it over time in eternities to be able to get these pieces, to come to this time, to be able to help us to remember. This earth is definitely, it's like not only an imprisoned place, but there's been this isolation outside of real time. Now, now this has to do with like the moon, it has to do with an infiltration of and an absconding of our technology, of our incarnations. So when I started to put those videos out about 3 months ago, the technology of the soul, it started to go into these places. Okay. So our technology of incarnation has been intercepted. So many people are forced to reincarnate and forced to by their choosing because it's like, oh, look at all this bad that you did and look at all this karma that you created and you've got to come back and make amends. And, if you cross over, there's going to be hell to pay. And, all of these other things that occur that are mistruths to misguide the soul. And when the soul is like not knowing where to go, it'll literally like be pulled into this system that'll make it to constantly recycle. I've said before that our population on our planet is so high at this moment because it's like these souls that have like they've been like duplicated, replicated, spread out. It's like a ditto machine. Like I don't know if anybody's out there old enough to remember ditto machines, but it's like this old device where you put a page on and it would have ink. Okay, my dad was a
oh.
teacher. So we would have ditto machines where like he would be like, okay, go to the office and have them print like make a worksheet. And so they would use this ditto machine. So when they say ditto, it means the same. So it was
Ah.
like a precursor to photographs, okay,
Mm,
like photocopy machines. Okay. So it's like, let's make it more updated. Okay. A photocopy. If you have a full, pure, pristine printout straight out of a laser jet, printer, it's fully crisp and you make copies of it. And then by the time you get to the bottom, you're like, oh, dang. Like, let's say it's a sheet you use every day. And by the time you get to the bottom, you just use that copy and now you make another copy and then you make a bunch of copies of it and then you get to the bottom and you're like, oh dang, I need that again. So you're now making a copy of a copy and we become copies of copies of copies of copies. And before you know it, we are scattered as like scattered souls, like trying to find pieces of ourselves because we're in this constant like loop. And so now like that system is spread so thin that it's starting to like implode on itself. And that so many people and souls can only be trapped for so long. So this breaking of this infiltration of our incarnation technology, because again, we are not our bodies. We are a consciousness, and the bodies are devices created for us to experience. Okay. So this incarnation technology being intercepted. Now, I had an image, okay, in one of my meditations, like remote viewing, and all of a sudden seeing that there was a time when this they overrode and took over this technology and created all of these distortions on the planet. There's terraforming on the planet. To terraform, okay? Terra, tierra, land, earth, okay? To terraform means that another species has found a planetary system that they can inhabit, but they're not quite in the same atmosphere that they need. We as humans require that we need carbon, that we breathe air, right? So we need oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
And the plants that actually provide oxygen to us are the trees. Okay, they take in our carbon dioxide and they give us oxygen. We're symbiotic partners with trees on this planet.
Mm.
Look what's happening with our ancient
Yeah.
forests. Okay. If terraforming of the planet and they're meant to be here and they're trying to terraform into an earth, a planet that sustains them, they
Mm.
thrive in an energy of heavy, dense frequencies.
Mm.
So they're going to need a population that is exuding heavy, dense energy. We are in a place of where we just feel the ick. We feel it around us and we don't feel good. We're immersed in it, we're spewing it, and we're receiving it and giving it. It's like all this energetic pollution. And then they're literally polluting the earth. So if they live in a more acidic, more like a vile kind of an earth system, where instead of waters they have oils, where instead of like clearer atmospheres theirs is more dense. That's what's been happening on the planet, is terraforming this earth. And so here we
Mm.
are as a species trying to keep and maintain the ownership of our planet. So what I saw was all of this. And then I also saw where we are partnered with other earth being, not earth beings. I want to say earth beings, but other intergalactic beings, star beings, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that are working in partnership. And there are those that live in the inner earth, okay, the Hopi, the Zuni, then other nations and other peoples in multiple places around the earth have, their verbal and their passed down history is having times of living under the earth, okay? So we are in the fallout. Like these things that have occurred, that like are ancient histories. There's even places where there's radiological, like radiations that emit ancient technologies. Like we are the result of the fallout, and this world that it was created is the result of it, where
Mm.
they were in winning. Okay, so if there was a time that this earth was overtaken, this is the result of it. But now we're in the biggest revolt of all time. So not
Mm.
only are awakening as souls, we're also awakening as a humanity. We're changing from Homo sapien sapien. I call us Homo luminous, that we're
Mm.
becoming that etheric plasmic being. Okay, so we're evolving in real time. We're doing something entirely different on the planet that we've never actually, had access to before. So now again, I know that I went way out there. And so
I'm
now I'm
with
like
you.
trying to bring myself way back because, yeah, like this, what is happening on the planet is so, 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 so far more. So what I saw was that we were able to not only like, so if they overtook this technology, and like created all of this dysfunction, distortion, massive manipulations of a species on the planet. We are in the biggest revolt overcoming it. And what I saw was that with the assistance of these higher beings, we were able to like somehow like virus, like inject a virus within their system of incarnations that was blocking other souls from incarnating, this constant loop. We had to change it from the inside out. The greatest thing is free will and choice, right? So we had to choose. My NDE happened to awaken me to the truth beyond this construct, to be able to share, like you, with courage, to not have fear and to not play small, to be able to say, like, there is something really massive happening on the planet. And if people can learn how to do this, they will bypass this system and we will begin to break it like wildfire. Okay.
Mm,
So the more and more people that remember this, that hold on to this, that learn this technique of going within, knowing their own power, their own source, they're not going to go to an external light when they cross over. They're going to go to an internal portal that is their own. Okay,
mm,
when we go inside and then literally go across to the other side, not an external force that's trying to be like infiltrate and like literally bring us over. Shiny bright white lights, okay,
mm,
instead of our own inner light. And so that's how they were able to infiltrate it. So I saw that we were somehow to be able to create a virus that kind of infiltrated their system, that enough of us leaked through. And then, like,
mm,
we were seated here to remember. And then now more and more of us are remembering. Okay. And so if we think about that, if we remember, so if we are distorted, broken down, ripped to shreds, and we're assembling ourselves with the truth, leaving in a pile the stuff that is not ours, not truth, not us, and reassembling and remembering the parts of us that are truth, are authentic, are real, reclaiming our own space, our own planet, our own systems. So all of the destructions of the systems that are happening right now is part of this great bigger thing because it's unsustainable. Okay. So as a humanity, we needed enough of us to awaken, to open up into our inner lights, to have and do and be all of the things that you and I are talking about so that we can change the earth into this new reality. Okay. It's not a new reality. It's an ancient reality that has been superimposed upon us, this
mm,
false reality. Okay. So we're breaking it. We're like literally busting it through. And those warrior souls that are in the deepest, darkest of places on the front lines, it is not lost on me that this isn't like all like, ooh, let's celebrate and party, because there are souls that are really, like when I say on the front lines, like literally they're on the front lines. They're in those places where there are genocides and wars and things that are happening that we can't even begin to understand. So, enough of us are reawakening, remembering the sovereignty of our own life spark. God spark is what I call it. It's a divine essence far beyond this material world. And so that's what we're doing. So when like, yeah, I could keep going. I could keep
no,
going and
no.
going and going.
Well,
Mm.
no, whew, from the beginning, of course, I wanted to let you whatever was coming through, but yeah, right away you described the movie, like you made me
Mm.
remember what the movie, because I didn't, I was just like, what was it about it that made me, yeah. So how when you were talking about Ditto, literally they're clones, and at the end you find out that they're clones, so they just keep, they'll die, come back, and one of them starts remembering. He starts having flashes of images, like, wait, why am I remembering this? Like and they're just being bred to use their parts to, like, there's wealthy people, and so, but they're stuck, their whole world is in this facility where they're just being recycled, the
Oh
clones.
my God.
Yeah. So, and that
Oh my
gave me
God.
I was like, wait, like, I think that was to wake me up to, like, hello, that's what's been happening,
Wow.
like, so all that stuff. And then, yeah, eventually at the end they revolt, right? They revolt, they break out of the place with help, right? There's someone from the outside that kind of sees, like, wait a second, it triggers something in him, and then he sees that, yeah, so it see help from the other, like, the way, because when you said that right away, the beings that came and gave me the beginning of the knowledge the 216 was the Palladians, right? They came to me.
Oh my
I
God.
went through a portal. Yeah, I went through a portal. They were there. It was all telepathic. And then yeah, so
Now, I said Cancun before, right?
ah,
But it was really Chaco Canyon. Chaco Canyon's facilities are literally aligned to the Pleiades and the
oh,
system that most resonates with me is the Pleiades. Yeah.
mm,
So there's no
mm,
surprise that we would find each other like you and I both said this. I feel like you're like a brother of mine, like that, like you're literally like that kind of energy, right? There's a soul familiarity to you
mm,
that like that we would find each other like all around the planet that are we are not singular, we are part of something greater, and even though there's over 8 billion people on the planet, there's thousands of us. Now that's a microscopic percentage, but that's still a lot.
mm,
Okay. And I know that with shows like this, and no longer like I can even feel that right in my heart center. So my heart center is like dilating.
mm,
So like having that willingness to be able to share, to provide value, to provide like service, to be of service. So yes, this stuff is really like interesting and thought provoking, but it's more.
mm,
My desire and my hope is that may whoever needs to hear this, may it radiate and ripple through them to have their own awakening the way you're describing, that they might have something that just kind of like begins to bring a memory, an awareness, or even just a curiosity. Okay.
mm,
It's not about taking all of this, because I mean, if I would have heard these things fresh out of my NDE straight out the gate, you know, these are things that were shown, but over a course of time, like you, I seeded these things throughout time so that I would have the memory and the pieces of the puzzle would come across. But if the entire puzzle was assembled for me, 8 Earth minutes, lifetime on the other side. Okay. So I like practiced this lifetime and seeded these things for myself while on the other side so that I would have this memory, have those feelings, have the ick, have the wondering, have the curiosity, have the anger, have the joy, all of these things that would be signals this is important. And so may this information and these cool, interesting topics that we're speaking to, may they serve at a higher level, deeper level, in whichever way is meant for them. I don't have expectations, or I don't set like, oh, let's do it with this intention, because that's taking away someone's free will.
mm,
But if it resonates, and may it serve each person in the way that is best and right alignment with them. And if this doesn't fully like make sense or resonate with them, hold it like a puzzle piece, because the pieces of the puzzle will come together. You called it breadcrumbs, I call them puzzle pieces.
mm,
Same thing, right?
mm.
You've been following the breadcrumbs. I've been following the puzzle pieces. And so we bring these pieces together, okay, with nourishment breadcrumbs. So may we actually like begin to pull the bigger picture together. So yeah, thank you.
No, thank you. I want to be respectful of your time, so I do want to make sure I bring up because one thing they kept telling me to make sure we talk
Okay.
about, but also while you were sharing all that and we're talking about like whatever beings are trying to make it denser, I know it came up earlier and it came up again while
Um,
you were talking that word
oh yeah.
Nephilim came up again. So
You and I were having a conversation before we came online, and that did actually come through.
yeah,
And so, like, these things were literally spoken of in our first original, like, the books of the Bible. Like, these five main books are literally the core foundation of, like, the most core religions of the planet. And then they tend to branch off from there, right? And one of the biggest stories of it is talking about how there is, and it goes back to exactly what you said, a species and that were thought to be of gods, that came and fell to our planet. They call
mm,
them the fallen angels. and that we literally have been in a battle of light and dark and good and evil. Okay, so when we talk about the fallen angel, that Lucifer literally means brilliant light. Okay,
Mm.
and so if there were beings who fell to earth, okay, and then they interacted and according to even the scriptures of the Bible, that they took unto them the women of the people, right? Which means that they had relations. Now, that could either be literal or it could be that it's technical, right? Maybe it was they took their genes and spliced
Mm.
them with that of humans. So they're like, how could an earth woman, okay, of our stature. Now, I'm only 5 feet tall, so
Mm.
like I can't imagine, bearing a giant that would end up being like 30 feet tall, right? So what if that is to mean in our own awareness that they took the genes and spliced genes? Okay.
Mm.
Now, there's already evidence that our genes and our genetics have been spliced. It's actually
Mm.
shown. It
Wow.
shows where they literally spliced it, capped it, rotated, and created a new gene structure.
Wow.
It's shown in our own genes. Okay. So that's real. And so if these fallen angels, these beings that had supposedly higher knowledge, right? And they do because they were able to infiltrate, come here, and then create this entire system. So they are the children, the people that were created in from those fallen angels are known as the Nephilim, okay? And so they're literally thought to be this higher, when I say higher, I want to say like more technologically advanced. Now, they might have like awareness of spiritual principles, but they don't operate from that place of, they operate from a place of imbalance because they've
Mm.
created a world out of balance. We feel it every single day. Like we are the living proof of that inner anxiety and depression that we're feeling is a knowing that something is not right. Something
Mm.
is off, something is wrong, we're missing something. And then so they're like, okay, well, let's numb us out. Here, take this antidepressant. Let's just give you a pill to get those signals in the brain that's telling you something's wrong. Let's numb those out so that you can be okay. Okay. And then if that doesn't work, they're like got to another threshold and a level. So then they create a whole other layer of medications that, okay, while you're taking this one, also take this one because this one also helps to enhance the benefits of this one, right? So we're taking antidepressant medications intermixed with other antidepressants, mixed with opioids and all of these other things to get us to be docile, to not awaken and not buck the system. We feel it. That anxiety, that depression, that is there for a reason. It's a
Mm.
messenger from our soul telling us something isn't right. But then we give our power away by the powers that be. The medicine is a new thing, okay? My grandma, Hinoveva, would have like cured and with remedios that were ancient, okay? So using like trementina and like little tinctures and other things with herbs and healing practices with egg and understanding that our bellies as kids are knots and nerves and that we can actually soothe it. Sodar, there's limpias, there's all kinds of different things. That is ancient technology, sacred waters, herbs, all of these other things. That's nature. Medicine is new.
Mm.
Medicine is not the end all be all. It is a distortion of our inner knowledge and our ability. Okay. So, like you said, like we are a technological being. Now, yeah, there's I could go into so much more with this, like for real. But I pray that actually like somebody needs to hear all of this. Maybe chunk down the video into smaller portions or something like that.
No,
And
I will,
and
because
like, but don't cut these things out either, because I think this is important for people to see how real this is, right?
no, I'm
So,
gonna leave it, but
mm,
I am gonna take clips and post them. Yeah, because there's so much things that I'm like, oh yeah, at least this. If people feel like, oh, this is gonna be too long, then I'll take out certain pieces and post them for sure. But I'm
yeah,
gonna leave the whole thing regardless.
okay.
One thing I did want to for sure that I feel is very important is about that, right? So because I feel like that's a huge lesson I've had to learn. Be it that I don't know what exactly it is that obviously, right? We're wired that way. We want to help, right? Like you yourself, like you say, you feel the most, uh, I guess pleasure. Was that the word you used, or you feel the most
It's like an
fulfilled?
energy, like fulfilled. It
Yeah,
feels like I
when
know that I'm fulfilling purpose. I
yeah,
feel like my heart and soul on fire.
yeah,
In a way of providing service, being able to help, being able
yeah.
to uplift. Yes.
Exactly. So you feel the most fulfilled like when you're helping those connect to their soul. So I
Yes.
have a similar thing. So what I've confronted obviously is like that, where to my detriment, I've came across people that it's like there's something in me that wants to help them, but I'm seeing, right? Because I see a higher version of themselves, but then I tap into, there's a part that's just like, I don't know, it's a weird energy, right? And then so that energy will start affecting me and bringing me down. Almost like that energy will consume me if I stay
hmm And it's
because
intended to. Think about the
huh?
language that you just said, that you said that energy will consume me if I stay. Think about what the pure wisdom that just popped out of your mouth, because that's exactly its point.
Mm.
Those of us who have intentions of uplifting humanity, we have an ability to see. We see their potential, we see their light before they're capable of seeing their own light. We misunderstand, and we have a certain amount within us, and we want to be able to convey and share that. There are, they are, there is a match, an energy match, right, to the other side. That if we are giving and are literally thinking that I can help this person better themselves, then they instantaneously, it's almost like a magnetic force. If we think about it, magnetism requires that it needs a closed loop, okay? When
Mm.
you have magnets that are on the opposite direction, they literally push each other. It requires force to keep them to stay, right? But if you
Mm.
have its opposite, okay, where the magnetics, it's like they literally they're attached to each other. What I know it to be is that it's part of that coming through the darkness. Many people who are light workers in service of the light, who are making their traverse and their path in that dark narrow path, okay, where very few go, that there are things that are put in our path to help us face that inner darkness. Now, we will be paired with people who will evoke and surround us with that kind of energy, so that we can learn how to transcend that energy. And exactly what you just said, that we would be consumed, and if we would stay. Now, I
Mm.
know that just like there are agents for light, there are agents for dark. Now, I don't think that they know it intentionally, but some of them do. The majority of the population are people who have experienced a high magnitude of trauma, who have been distorted from their inner knowing. Then there's a vibration that they're stewing in, that they are being played out, and they're being played, okay?
Mm.
Literally. Something is working through them because they are in a vibration of that energy. And people that are wanting to break out of it, that have a sole purpose and intention to change the earth, are literally working on the front lines, at the grassroots level, where this is showing up in the world. And it shows up one on one, person by person, soul by soul. Now, people who operate in that way, they have we all have like energies of traumas, including myself, that none of us are excluded. We have hurt, losses, pains, and grief, and all different levels. That is part of the human condition. But sometimes that is done even harder and more intensified, to literally stop and disconnect people, children, people, from their own inner soul.
Mm.
I don't think I said this before, but there was an article that I had read some time past that I believe was out of Australia that was talking about like some of the absolute most horrific things that are done to children at that early age create such a trauma that it's known as soul murder. Okay, think
Wow.
about that. Okay, that's an actual psychological term out there.
Mm,
So if we do that early enough, we create a docile people around the planet that are just broken and barely functioning, and there's traumas at all levels, and that is that kind of energy. It is not our fault. It is something that we were born into, systems that were broken. And so those of us who have the ability to endure these things are able to see through it and then come to another understanding. Our desire is to want to rescue people out of it because we understand how heavy and how hard that is, but it's not our responsibility. It is each
mm,
person's soul and their own responsibility. Now, I will go so far as to say to the level of which I understand this to be. So in my own situation where my most precious, child, I have two children. I talk a lot about my daughter because she's the one I had my NDE with. But I
mm,
had a son who was 2.5 years old already by that time. He is an extremely sensitive soul. We also had another NDE for his birth, but mine was it's a little different. So my full on, what I call my full on NDE, what happened with my daughter. But I
mm,
had a similar, brief, smaller, shorter experience with my son. But he was born in that way. He literally had to be resuscitated at his birth.
mm,
So he had an experience of where he's highly attuned, very sensitive, very keyed in, and it was beginning to be too much as a sensitive soul on this planet that he felt like literally not wanting to be here. So
mm,
he was having suicidal ideation, and my role as his mama, okay, so this was already like 16 years ago, by the way. And so at that time, it was like, how can I help him? God, give it to me. I can handle this. Let me do this. Okay. I have the ability to take away this pain. And half awake, half asleep while he was away for observation at the distance. Like I was exhausted. This might have been day two. I don't even think I slept the first night. And it's not that he made an attempt, but he came forward to say that there was ideation. He had the idea. There was
mm,
intervention done before anything was actually attempted. And so I think that this was just um, a learning for both of us on many different levels. But like probably day night two, half awake, half asleep, booming voice in my head was like, as I was praying, as I was going to sleep, God, give this to me. The booming voice in return was, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Every
mm,
time you interrupt, interfere, and intervene, we have to create an entire set of circumstances for the exploration and the growth of his soul. How dare you rob him of his soul's growth? It is not yours. It is not your responsibility. Basically, know your place. So my
mm,
prayer changed from God, give it to me, I can handle it, to give me the courage. God, give me courage to let go of the control and any ability that I think I have to change somebody else's experience, and give me strength to help him back. Okay.
mm,
Now he's 28 years old. He's doing well, but it was that experience of that taught me the absolute most as a parent, as a mama. I did everything that I needed to. Took him to his primary, went to the doctor, had all the interventions, got him to counseling. Like you would be shocked at the things that I had to do in order to help the child. But it was all with the clearer understanding. My role is to help him become. My role is not to actually do for him, not to take it on as my own. But when we're in situations where people come into our life, we still have that same understanding, thinking that we could do something that their own soul must also choose. And
mm.
also at the same time, bright lights incarnate in dark places. Agents of light, also agents of dark. If there are things that we're going to be paired with, if there's a prevention okay, to happen, of knowledge and wisdom coming out into the masses, because it will create a massive revolt and like the biggest revolution of all humankind and understanding. They're going to want to suppress that information and knowledge. So they'll pair us with people that through our own ideas and ideation that we will then be deterred from our plan and our path.
Mm.
Okay? So then we'll go and spiral into distractions of like all of this heavy darkness and like people that don't function in the right way. And like before you know it, we're consumed in their world, consumed. Okay. And
Mm.
so then we don't actually, so it requires everything within us to be able to come back to self, come back into alignment, align with this inner light, come back into our own highest self. And when we operate in that way, then the kind of quality of people that come on our path will be different. It's a
Mm.
whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. No, well, when you were saying that, Elise, and I guess maybe sometimes we're not shown yet the person we're dealing with is it someone that's on that growth journey or just someone that's like here to cause that
Mhm.
distraction, right? So, but when you were talking about your son, yeah, I felt like I, when you were saying how, yeah, it was you asking for the courage to let him, I felt this huge like refreshed on the heart, right? Because yeah,
Yeah.
that made so that even made sense to my soul, right? Like my heart felt this refreshing because yeah, I guess that's part of yeah, and
Mhm.
that's a lesson for me to have learned, right? In this walk of yeah, almost like a let go, let God kind of
Yeah.
situation. But see,
Mhm.
but it's like yeah, yeah, yeah,
It
okay,
is that like sacred surrender.
yeah,
Surrender doesn't mean giving up and giving in. It means that we go with flow and we align and then begin to operate in the way that we're meant to. So it means flow. Okay? And so yeah, surrender is an entirely different thing. And it is definitely stepping into trust, trust of the unknown. But we don't have to have fear, because if we align with the sacred divine that we carry within, we will never be led astray. And we
mm,
will actually be part of something much greater and bigger that is beyond the outer construct. The way that we combat the outer is to come back within.
mm, beautiful, beautiful. No, thank you so much. I know that we could keep going, but I want to
We'll have to
respect
do
your
it
time,
again.
huh?
Well, and it's interesting because right now it's 2 hours, 22 minutes, and right now it's coming up on 22 seconds.
Wow, no way. And today's two
Yeah.
two two. I didn't even think about it.
Okay, right here, right now, boom,
Ah,
there just passed. It
wow,
just hit.
wow,
There's purpose, there's reason, there's meaning, there's higher divine order. Okay.
wow.
Thank you for just yeah. What we'll have to do it again and again and again and again.
No,
Yeah, 'cause I
absolutely,
know
yeah,
we're still just barely scratching the surface.
yeah. But I think we covered so much, and I
Yeah, we
think
did.
yeah, it's yeah. I mean, even me, like I just noticed even talking about things that yeah, I don't want to play it small anymore. I've known things for a long time that I haven't spoken about, and I feel like yeah, it's not a time anymore. I could feel it, right? I feel the shift and everything. So thank you so much. It's an
Yeah.
honor. Yeah, and out like I said, I'm gonna cut out parts and all that good stuff. So thank you to everybody for tuned in. I know there were people that were asking, right, for Lupita to come on, and I know that you value the knowledge she shares, as do I. So I'm honored.
Mm, thank you. Like truly, this gives me such joy to be able to express without having to suppress,
Mm,
or to play small. So no more playing small. Okay,
absolutely,
let's do it again.
absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Life may move fast, or it may move slow. I met a silly man who said he make it slow. We look up out towards space, or even at the sky. One day pass away, but never look inside. Breathe in, breathe out. Life is a maze, but we'll figure this out. I mean, human beings, I ain't got no doubt. Yeah, sometimes you're just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You're just feeling it. And I wanna feel this way forever.